Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So in today's video, I wanted to do something slightly different. We're going to be messing around with a different cartridge that I've kind of been, I've been really laser focused on 280 Ackley Improved, and for good reason. Got a lot of stuff loaded up for that. I need to get to the range, get a lot of shooting done. It's been such a fun project. I've really enjoyed working with the 280 Ackley, but I was in Cabela's or Bass Pro, whatever they're called now, the other day and walked by the reloading section, and it's slowly getting better over time, right? They're definitely still overpriced for their powder and stuff like that, but they're starting to put stuff on sale. So great job, guys. Great job to the reloading masses who aren't going to fall for the big box store price increases. It's working, right? Because I went in there and they had some powder on sale. They had a ton of primers available. Of course, those weren't on sale, but powder was starting to be put on sale. And their bullet section, it was like every single bullet box that they had, everything was on sale. And some of it was actually a really good deal. So that was good to see. I didn't pick up any other, well, I did pick up some bullets, picked up those, but it's specific to this project. But I was looking at their brass, and their brass is starting to, same deal, right? They're starting to get more and more brass. They're starting to put a lot of the, I think it was the Hornady stuff. They were putting a lot of the Hornady brass on sale, which is still comical because like they're running it on sale for like $1 a piece. Absolutely comical. Guys, if you're gonna pay $1 a piece for brass, go buy Lapua, go buy Peterson, go buy any other brand that's actually worth $1 a piece, okay? Just trust me. But I noticed I had some of these guys, a bunch of bags of Starline and different cartridges. I'm a huge fan of this brass, this brand. So really like this brass. I've used it a lot across, I don't even know how many different cartridges, and it always works great. But this is the one we're messing with today, 3030 Winchester. And when I saw that, it reminded me of the fact that I told my brother-in-law, hey, I'm gonna load up some rounds for you for your 3030, because he had asked me at a family function, like back during Christmas or something. I don't know. I completely forgot about it. That's my bad. So I was in there, I saw that, and it just sort of, oh, light bulb moment. I forgot I'm supposed to be loading some of those up. So went ahead, picked up this bag. I think this bag was only like maybe $22 or something like that. So somewhere in the neighborhood, it was like 50 cents or less because it's a 50 count bag, which is really good, but really good stuff. So went ahead, picked up that bag, and you get 51 pieces. That's just standard for Starline, and in my experience. Or if you buy like a 100 count bag or something, you get 101. Went ahead, so I got those. I picked up some of these because I couldn't remember in the moment if I actually had any 3030 specific bullets, which I do have some Barnes, but I don't think I have 50 of them left. I have the 150 grain, those TSX, flat nose, flat base bullets, but I don't believe I have 50 of them. So I wanted to go ahead and just load up 50, give him this, also picked up this little ammo box. I just want to load up these 50 with some Lever Evolution, this bullet, give him all 50 rounds and say, here you go have fun. Because really he was wanting some just to go shoot at the range. And then I picked the Pro Hunter bullet just in case he might want to get into hunting. He did mention that, so that's why I picked that Pro Hunter bullet. Don't mind me, just breakfast of champions over here. Which I'm not the biggest fan of peanut M&Ms. I prefer the peanut butter. But I bought these the other day, you know, as a snack for my wife. Put it in her lunchbox. Son, she come off the handle on me. She was not too thrilled that I put peanut M&Ms because she loves peanut M&Ms. But that's the whole point, right? She was like, I don't need to be eating this junk. So I was like, all right, I'll eat them. So that's what I'm eating for breakfast. But that's the brass. That's the bullet. We're going to throw it in this thing right here. I'm going to be using Lever Evolution powder. I got a few pounds of that. So I'm going to use that stuff. I believe that is the, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's just about your best velocity option in 30-30 across the board. If it ain't, it's close. That's the whole point of that powder, right? So I'll be using that. Probably just going to use some Federal large rifle primers. Now, when I got out here, because the whole thing is I was going to kind of do this video on, you know, if you're getting into reloading, I've made this recommendation a bunch to people that I talk to, and they're always like, oh, you know, I'm thinking about getting into reloading. And I'm like, oh, well, what do you load for? Oh, I want to load for 30-06. Okay. You've been saving your brass? Yep. All right, well, here's what I recommend. Go buy a bag of Starline 30-06 brass, brand new. Get it, and then go through the process. I'll show you whatever, there's videos on it, but it's, to me, it's a little bit easier to wrap your head around this whole kind of reloading process, which this isn't reloading, it's simply loading because it's brand new. But it's a little bit easier to kind of get the feel for the process if you just start with brand new brass, right? Like that's kind of been my recommendation to a lot of people in the past, is if you're serious about wanting to get into it and you're already thinking about investing money in equipment and all this stuff, what's another 30, 40, 50 bucks for a bag of brass, depending on what cartridge you want to shoot, right? And start with brand new brass, kind of get the feel for, okay, this is how this is supposed to go. And then you circle back after the fact, and then you kind of do more of the reloading aspect with the resizing and the decap, or resizing and all of that fun stuff that kind of goes with that. So that's been my recommendation. And I just want to show you guys a few things that I do to brand new brass whenever I start off that way. Because I enjoy starting off this way too, especially if it's a project for someone else. This is generally what I do. I very rarely do I just grab brass that I already have available. Unless they give me brass, right? If they give me a ton of brass and it's the same head stamp, I'll go that route. But generally speaking, it's starting off brand new. So I was looking for my 30-30 die set, and of course, couldn't remember. I thought I had a Lee full-length sizing die. Turns out I don't. So then I was like, man, I know I've messed with 30-30 in the past, so surely I got a die set around here somewhere. Well, I got this guy. This is a RCBS 30-30 die set. All right, full length die set. And then I open it up, and of course this is taken apart now, but like I was sitting here looking at the die and I'm going, man, this thing is nasty. There's no way I use this. So luckily I was able to get it all torn apart, took a little elbow grease, get it all ripped apart. And I was like, nah, ain't no way I've ever used this die, which I haven't. I picked this up off a guy, I can't remember when, but I bought like a handful of used dies off of him. But this is pretty cool though. I was reading the RCBS instructions on how to set it up. This is the full length sizing die, torn apart, and it was talking about, you know, up top you'll see what type of die it is, full length, the cartridge 30-30, the RCBS brand name, and what year it was made, 1981. That's pretty cool. So I don't think pretty sure they don't stamp that on their dies anymore, but they might. I don't know. I don't own a lot of RCBS dies, but I thought that was really neat. So this die set's from 1981, but that's not what we're going to use today. I could, but I think I'm going to clean this die set up and we'll use it in the future. But I want to switch over and use this guy. So I went back in the house and I was like, maybe I've got a Redding die set, and I threw it in the house. Nope. But next best thing is CH. This says CH4D. They've changed their name. They're actually CH Tool and Die now. These guys are in Ohio, and actually, I want to say, so I actually stopped by this facility. I had a work trip up to Ohio and called them up, and they were like, you just want to come by and hang out? And I was like, yep. I think they were a little weirded out by that, because it's just a small, like, family-owned, literally family-owned, a few guys work there, kind of mom and pop shop. And I get there, dude, it's a reloader's paradise, man. This company, I believe they are seriously like the only manufacturer left that will truly do, I mean, custom dies to the nth degree. I mean, these guys, and the volume, as far as, I say volume, as far as the cartridges that they, in their catalog, that they have made, I mean, they beat any other die manufacturer, hands down. It's not even close. And they also, I think they do like custom presses and all kind of stuff. It's really a unique setup. I mean, if you guys are interested in, oh, and what's what's really interesting about these is, I'm trying to remember when I stopped in and talked with those guys. I want to say it was like a die maker or a designer that worked at Redding. I can't remember if it was the guy that started this company, which is why these are very, 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 very similar to Redding dies. So if you like Redding dies, then I highly recommend you check out CH Tool and Die. These guys are awesome. I really like their die sets. I've got like 5 or 6 of their die sets. So I'm going to be using this die to get us going. Yeah, look at that thing. Son, that's nice. I did have to scrounge around and find a shell holder that works because of the rimmed case, the rimmed nature of the case. It kind of threw me for a loop. I thought I had a Lee shell holder available. Turns out I've got an RCBS number 2 and it works perfect. I had it tucked away somewhere, who knows how or when I got it, because I don't really buy RCBS stuff. So if I have RCBS stuff, it came from somebody else. Oh, that doesn't go in there just yet. And I'm using this Lyman, it's like a Magnum loading tray. I don't have anything that really fits these that well, but again, the rim is the issue. I could put it in some of these other bleacher blocks, but then it doesn't like seat all the way down into the bleacher block, so it just kind of causes an issue there. So let's get this bad boy. So I'm just going to kind of run you guys through. The reason why I like to run these up into a full-length sizing die, even though they're brand new and they should just chamber no problem whatsoever, is oftentimes your case mounts are going to be out of round just due to them being in a package and loosely packed and shipped around and bumped around and knocked around and manufacturing processes, and they're not always perfectly concentric, right? So that's why, let's get to a shell holder up top. There we go. Okay, man, I definitely use this one because I can already tell I got this bad boy set up perfect. Yep, that's exactly what you want on these dies. You want to screw it down till it touches the shell holder, which of course I did that. Lower the ram, turn it like a quarter turn, eighth to a quarter of a turn, and that'll give you, you hear that? That'll give you some cam over, and that's the setting, right? If you're trying to resize some brass. So, all right. Coffee and peanut M&Ms. So what I need to do now is, even though these are brand new, I shouldn't really need lube. I'm a little concerned, so you guys sit tight. Let me throw just a tiny bit of lube on here. Let me just run it up in the die, see what we get, and we'll go from there. All right, so I was looking for one that was, you know, pretty bad out of round, but actually a lot of these are really, really good in terms of the roundness of the case mouth. However, you know, you've got several that are kind of like this, just not quite, you know, completely round. So that's the reason why I run them up in the full length sizing die. Run this guy up in here. And that was with no lubrication. I actually lubed that first piece and it was like absolutely nothing. And so I tried a second piece without it just to see what type of resistance we were getting. And like I thought, we were getting absolutely none. You just get it going up over the expander ball and coming back down, which is what I want, because I want the neck portion to go all the way up into the neck portion of the die, get squeezed down, come back over that expander ball and become more uniform. So I do that. I'm going to run all 50 pieces through there. Of course, I'm going to spare you guys that painful process of watching me just run 50 pieces through there, because that's kind of pointless. But a couple of other things that I do to brand new brass is, and even like if I have factory ammunition, for the 280 Ackley, for instance, I did this exact same thing where I came in with some Redding. These are Redding hand tools. You can get, I think, just about any reloading manufacturer makes this type of stuff. This is a, stand by. This is a large primer pocket uniformer. So what this little guy does, and you can also, if you'll notice, I've got these attachments over here on my case prep express station. Same deal, just about, I think, any case prep station manufacturer, whenever you buy it, and it comes with all these little doodads and whatchamacallits and all that stuff, it'll come with these primer pocket uniformer attachments. And what that does is it cuts the depth of the primer pocket to a uniform distance, right? So that's really nice. Now, I will say, in general, I don't have that issue with Starline brass, some of the higher end brass, Lapua, that type of stuff. Whenever I did this exact same process on the Hornady, the 280 Ackley factory brass that I got, there was a handful of cases that it cleaned up some material in the primer pocket out of, you know, all 60 pieces. So they weren't too bad either. Generally though, where I've seen this be more useful is in kind of more of some cheaper brass, Winchester, Remington, those types of brands of brass is where I really see this as more of a benefit, because I've done that in the past with those brands and have really cleaned up quite a bit of material out of a lot of primer pockets, getting them all to a uniform depth. And then next after that, or really in no particular order, is this guy. This is the flash hole deburring tool. Typically I do this first. Just go in, deburr the flash hole. So what it's supposed to look like. I haven't do this one-handed, so forgive me. And typically you would have this slid on here. And so you adjust this and have the mouth of the case come up over this right here. And that's basically your stop. And it lets the mouth of the case ride on that while you use this tiny little cutter here at the bottom. It goes in. Goes in. Yep, there we go. So the piece of brass goes over the cutter. Cutter comes up through the flash hole. And then you hold the piece of brass and you turn the cutter, and you basically just get rid of any burrs or anything like that that is left over from the manufacturing process on the flash hole. You just clean it up a little bit. So that's what I do. From there, I will take this brass, this whole batch. I'll come over here. I will do a chamfer and deburr. I'll run the brass over the brush, head into the house, prime them, powder, bullet, take off, go shoot, right? Not in this case though, because these are going to my brother-in-law. So primer, powder, bullet, and hand him a box of 50 that he can then go to the range with, have a good time, and then also hopefully set some aside to go hunt with. So that's it. I mean, there's really nothing to it as far as new brass, which is really why I recommend, if someone's wanting to get into reloading, you start kind of this way. It's extremely easy. You don't have to do the extra stuff like this, right? I mean, you don't even have to do this step. I mean, really and truly, you could, because I didn't when I first started. I bought brand new brass and I just let the bullet, me seating the bullet, I just let it round out the case mouth, unless they were really bad. And then at that point, I can't even remember how I repaired those, but I just let the bullet, like I think I started with Starline 223 brass, and I just let the bullet, when I seat the bullet, it was like, okay, round out the case mouth, let's go shoot. And I had really good results doing it that way. So, not saying you have to do any of this mess, right? You go buy a brand new brass primer, powder, bullet, and go have fun. So, especially if the mouths are like in this case, right? In this type of condition, this is good enough. I could just seat the bullets in there and call it a day and move on, right? Now, one thing you do have to be mindful of is if you're messing with these flat base bullets, you have to be careful on crushing your case mouths and just absolutely jacking up your brass. So that is something when I go do the bullet seating, I'll definitely have to pay attention to, be mindful of. So, but that's it. That's the prep stuff. There's really not much to it. There doesn't have to be anything to it if you don't want it to be. So that's where we're going to leave it. I plan on using both of these. So I'll finish running these through the full length sizing die, and then I'll be using the bullet seating die to seat all of the bullets. Again, I'll be running Lever Evolution. What I'll end up doing is probably just picking like the middle of the charge weight range on the, I think it's the Hodgdon load data. I'll go on their website. I think they have the 150 grain Sierra listed. I'm pretty sure they have this bullet listed in their load data. I'll go double check that, and I will simply just load at the middle of the range with the cartridge overall length that's recommended by Sierra, and hand them over to my brother-in-law. So that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you saw something where you're like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, that's a good way to do that. Or maybe you wasted your time watching this video. In either case, I really appreciate you hanging around and kind of, watching the video. I really do. So if you're interested in these guys, again, I highly recommend you check these guys out. CH Tool and Die. Go look them up. And their order process, they're not like it's not like a Midway or something. You can't just go online and just order. I think you have to call or email them, and they'll send you an invoice, and then you pay it, and then they'll get your product shipped. But again, if you are looking for any kind of weird one-off die, or you need one made, or anything along those lines, these are the guys that can do the job. So that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time. Y'all have a good one.